A very warm welcome back to another chat on the L2X platform. My name is Henry Baye, your host on this chat. In the last 12 episodes, we have been chatting about trust. We started with an attempt to define what trust is and why it is so important. We went on to chat about the different dimensions of trust and then spoke about the foundations of trust. We also examined what low and high trust environments look like. We then spent the last 7 episodes talking about some 13 behaviors that help build trust. Clearly, if this is the first in the trust series that you're watching, then you have missed a lot. Just make time to listen to these episodes because they are rich with stories and precious content I believe you would find eternally useful. I have convinced myself that this is the last episode in this series. I hope it is because the subject keeps bringing up new questions. In this chat, I would like to address one of the fundamental questions of trust. Can you really trust anybody? So I have come across many people who have recounted with pain how they got their fingers bent because they trusted someone. There are people who trusted other people with their resources only to have lost money and livelihoods. There are people who trusted others in relationships and got disappointed and heartbroken. Others trusted people in business relationships who did not keep their part of the bargain. Imagine if you held the hand of someone, opened the door of opportunity for them, and they then turned around and backstabbed you and took your job. These experiences can be painful. So naturally, if you have been in any of these situations or similar ones, a big dent has been made in your tendency to trust people. Let me try to help you find a way to visualize where to place your trust and the few questions you could ask to help you trust in a smart way. Trust sometimes could be almost like a continuum ranging from no trust to too much trust. And sometimes finding the right balance can be a struggle. I remember one of the popular cautionary statements we were taught during the early stages of our banking career was, trust but verify. This statement sounds like a sensible way to find this balance. The good thing is sometimes our intuition can raise the alarm bells as to who and what to trust and when to just bolt away. We cannot, however, always rely on our gut, as some people and things can tick all the right boxes and yet not be what they look like. One of the teachings of the Bible uses a phrase which helps show how complex the issue of trust can be: wolves in sheep clothing. Stephen Covey, who I have studied extensively in preparing this series, used a matrix which I found extremely useful and which I want to borrow to help you navigate this complex question. The matrix maps trust in 4 quadrants. One axis of the matrix is your propensity to trust, and the second axis is analysis. So let me go to quadrant 1. Now, this is the quadrant of high trust and low analysis. This is the space of gullibility or just blind trust. In this quadrant, the giver of trust will often find themselves taken advantage of by people with an agenda and the ability to manipulate. If the giver of trust is in a leadership position, they could be manipulated by other people to fulfill their own goals or drive their agenda. They can also deliberately set traps for gullible leaders. Leaders who become victims of this will not achieve optimum outcomes in decisions and could also become a source of loss for the organization. To get better at using their high propensity to trust, they must learn to ask basic questions to get to the bottom of things and move closer to the quadrant of good judgment. I recall that as a junior officer, one of the advice we were given on how to catch fraudulent behavior was not to sign documents brought to us when we are in the middle of so much and the person seemed to be in a hurry and are pushing us to sign. This is an example of those moments when the assurance that just sign, everything is okay, could actually be a trap. And all you need to do is ask a few questions. The quadrant number 2 is the zone where both trust and analysis is high and is characterized by good judgment. There are many moments when we have to make a judgment call. There are times we have to make that call when we don't have all the data we needed to make the call. This means that we must ask the right questions and assure ourselves that we have enough assurance to make that call. There was a requirement for one of my direct reports and I to be at a very high-profile meeting to present about what we each looked after. As he reported to me, I had the option of handling the entire presentation. I, however, requested him to present that part which he looked after. My intent was to give him the opportunity to be heard and for his talent to be noticed. I trusted his judgment in his ability to speak with maturity. I had the confidence to do this because I had thought about previous interactions with senior people, and witnessed how this colleague handled communication and his use of words. I had also had a conversation on what our key messages for the forum were expected to be. I knew he had the respect for that forum and the moment, so he was not going to blow it. Here is where trust and analysis come together for me to make that judgment call. Some months after, I got some feedback from this colleague, and he recounted the experience and what that meant to him. The experience made him feel respected and trusted. He felt trusted that he could speak to such senior people without messing it up. He felt trust that he was not too small to speak to such a forum. This was clearly an extension of trust, and it was based on good judgment. The third quadrant is the quadrant that corresponds with a low propensity to trust and low analysis at the same time. In this quadrant, trust is very low because people do not just have what it takes to extend trust, and so the result is indecision. In this low propensity and low analysis situation, things just don't move. The result is a standstill. Many opportunities are missed due to the inability to make decisions, and the impact is very low productivity, inefficiency, and employee despondency. There may be many reasons why propensity to trust will be low. I've already spoken about how the experiences of people could shut their trust valves and they lose that ability to trust anybody or anything at all. This can also happen when the entire culture is full of low trust behaviors. The fourth quadrant relates to the situation where trust is low, but analysis is high. Now, in this kind of situation, it means that there is distrust. Now, I'm sure you have heard the term analysis paralysis. This is the quadrant where this happens. Leaders who operate in this zone do not believe in anybody and so do not extend trust to anybody. Sometimes people who have a tendency towards perfectionism may also be found in this zone. They tend to micromanage everything and everyone. The result is that they create an unempowered workforce who are also disengaged. They cannot be trusted to make decisions, and so this stifles innovation and growth. It is clear that good trust decisions require a fine balance between analysis and the propensity to extend trust. There are three key considerations that should help reduce the difficulty of reaching good judgment. First is understand what the opportunity is. Second is understand what the risk you are taking is. And third is evaluate the credibility of the people who are involved. If you can ask simple questions around this, this would help you to create that balance between your ability or your propensity to trust and analysis. It is important to define what others can be trusted with and what they cannot be trusted with. This relates to the credibility question. So let me bring down the curtain on this episode with the following reflections. There is a saying in my tribe which translated is, you don't bend down the heart of an untruthful person. You take it apart one piece at a time. The wisdom here is learn to ask good questions. Good questions help take things apart one piece at a time and can help make judgment calls when extending trust. Extending trust can be quite a daunting thing. Not trusting people could also lead to missed opportunities and a loss on returns due to the aversion to risk with people. However, one needs to find the sweet spot in extending trust, and that where good judgment rules the day, creating efficiency, driving innovation, and building engaged and loyal employees or followers. If this chat has provoked a question or thought, please remember to reach out with your questions or comments, and remember to like and share this video so others can benefit from the thoughts we have shared. This has been me, Henry Bai, on the Lead to Exceed chat. Lead to Exceed, inspiring leaders, multiplying impact. See you soon.